ESPN, Boston Sports Entertainment Network. Please subscribe, hit that like button, and as always, leave a comment, and thank you for enjoying the video.
I got the Boston Celtics going to the final. I got them winning the all.
It's time to represent your city. Put your hands up. Cali, you know we do it for Boston. Hey, ain't nobody gonna like Boston. Yeah, hey, can't nobody do it like Boston. Where the legends get made, where the banners get raised, bright lights, big stage. Boston. All the fire we bring in a city full of rings, it's a beautiful thing out in Boston. And you ain't hard like that. You don't put it on the line with your squad like that. That's right, Boston. All we do is win like cigars in the gym, and we at it again. I say, Beantown, what's up? What's up? 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 Feel the energy shift, now we jumping at the gym. Represent, showing out how we ball above the rim. Larry Legend, 86, to the truth in 08. Cement your name with the all-time greats. Still banner 18 in the Raptors. Celtic green, only green that matters. It's about that time. Ain't another city that's louder than mine. Always gonna shine with the game on the line. What you think was gonna happen, man? That's how we do it in Boston. Ain't nobody gonna like Boston. Yeah. Ain't nobody do it like Boston.
Welcome to another episode of Dynasty Proud. No, do not sit there and adjust your screens. This is not the pesky podcast. I am here to fill in for one of our great co-hosts here at Dynasty Proud, Jason. But with me, I brought in some support. I've got Mikey Two Gunz, the host of Our Bleepin' City, with us. So before we get to you, Mikey, Alex, what's been going on, man? How you doing?
Doing great, coming off 3 W's. Looking forward to the big game tomorrow night against Denver. So things are going good. We got that 20-0 home streak. So.
Man, I sit there and I'm loving it so far. The vibe, 3 extremely blowouts pretty much in the past 3. And I love how it's a great chemistry. It might be, Tatum Brown one game, Porzingis, Derek White another game, Tatum Porzingis. They're always mixing it up, fresh legs out there. Mikey, what do you think so far about the last 3 games?
Man, I mean, the C's are just a wagon. You can see that they're just a well-oiled machine. Teams that are giving other teams across the league fits, we're just rolling. I mean, we're just steamrolling. The only team that can stop us is us right now. I mean, I'm feeling like the Twitter hashtag on the Celtics this year is different here, and this season feels different here. So I'm feeling pretty damn confident right now. Like Alex was saying, the 3-0 little run we got going now has they just look strong. And just every game, I just pray everyone comes out healthy, because this team is this is a special team right now.
Yeah, let's start off with the Celtics Rockets matchup. So we're gonna sit there and put this up there a little bit. Going over some box scores a little bit, Alex. What kind of sticks out to you right there in the box scores overall for that Rockets game?
Well, I mean, there's just there's a lot of different scores. It wasn't, and that's what I love about this team this year. And that's why, as Tatum said, he's probably not going to win MVP, because he doesn't have to go out and score 40 a night for us to win. There's just so many different scorers on the team, so many different options, a lot of people contributing. So, Tatum's going to end up over 20 every single night. But even the other night against Toronto, he had 19, and we won going away at the end, because there's so many different guys that can get a bucket for us. It's been great to see, Peyton Pritchard and Sam Hauser off the bench knocking down shots. Porzingis looks great, didn't play last night, but even without him and White, we just won convincingly going away against San Antonio. So it's just that we have just so many scoring options. We're so dynamic that it's just when we're at full health, as Mikey was saying, I don't see any team in the league that can stop us.
Yeah, Mikey, what were your thoughts of the Rockets Celtics game overall?
So I was at that game, and let me tell you this: from the second the ball was jumped up, there was no doubt who was going to win that game. That game was. It looked like we were playing. It looked like we were up against a G League team. The biggest drama of this game was Ime going to get booed or cheered? And it really was a whole lot of nothing. He didn't really get booed much, didn't get cheered much. But, yeah, this game, we were shooting we shot the lights out. I think we were up. I mean, we were up so big, even, I think, right around at halftime, right? Rockets kept it somewhat close till halftime, but right after halftime, we stepped on the gas. We just blew them right out of the water. This game was just kind of showed, we were flexing our muscles this game. We were just, there was never any doubt in my mind the outcome of this game. And, we showed that we are the best team in the league right here.
Yeah, definitely. And, the thing, it kept going too, where, next night we had the Celtics Raptors. It was a little bit closer in that game. But our coach, he still has not lost to Toronto at all. So, what were you looking at overall with the Raptors game? Was there anything that stood out to you?
So that's 2 games in a row now that we beat Toronto that forced them to make a trade the following day of one of their starters. The first time it was OG Anunoby. This time it was Pascal Siakam. Seems like we just break apart franchises. We broke apart Brooklyn. Kyrie got dealt after that game last year. James Harden seems like multiple times. So it's just, breaking the will of the other team. But Toronto, they made their run and it got real close at the end, but also for 2 straight games against Toronto. Well, 2 out of 3. Actually all 3. Derek White just made big timely shots down the stretch. And as I've been saying, he's our most clutch player. He's not the guy usually, with the ball making plays, but he's always hitting the big shots. So the fact that, when we don't always have our A game, we're still able to hang on and win.
Yeah, looking at the points, you have Drew Holiday and White both with 22, and they're at team highs. So it shows you, just like you guys said, we're playing team ball, and I think that's what it's overall going to take for us to win banner number 18. So what are you thinking, Mikey?
I really did like this win because in the past, the games in Toronto, Toronto's given us fits for whatever reason it is. And this game wasn't a cakewalk. Toronto, there was a game of runs. Toronto, it seemed like we'd punch them, they'd punch us back. I mean, there was some runs where I think they went on a 15-0 run, we went on a 15-0 run. But that's what I like about this year's team is that last year, if Toronto had went on one of these 15-0 runs, we probably would have wilted and folded and lost. And this year, much like, that Minnesota game a week or so back, we're taking the best punch that the other team is throwing at us, and we're coming back and we're winning these games, which is I love, and which gives me huge confidence that going into the postseason, and for the rest of the regular season, we're gonna, we're not going to be losing to teams that we shouldn't lose to. And I think that was funny, though. Alex had pointed out Toronto has made 2 trades since we played them. Yeah, it seems like we're franchise killers right here. So I liked that win. We need some of these tough wins like this. Kind of, we don't want to have cakewalks the whole way. And this was one of those good wins that kind of tested our mettle, and it's another example of us pulling out a close game that last year we probably would have lost.
Yeah, and then our last game we played against the Spurs. We won 117-98, and yet again, looking at the stats here, Drew Holiday led it with 22 points, Jaylen Brown with 21, and it just shows our versatility. We had a debut, some first NBA minutes. Alex, the crowd was cheering for him, but when he was able to get in the game, what were your thoughts about it?
Well, about Jordan Walsh specifically, it would have been nice to see that shot drop. It was his first NBA minutes, first game this year. He looked great in summer league. Like, I don't know what role he'll really have this season for the team, but in coming seasons, he's going to probably get more and more minutes. So would have been nice to see one drop. It almost kind of reminded me of like the Taco Fall experience at the end of games when he'd come in, the whole crowd's going nuts. So I'd like to see one fall. I mean, especially at the end of blowout games. And if you look at the end of the schedule this year, we have so many cupcake teams at the end where we might have put everything away, where he might actually get a real chance in some of these games. But, just to get his feet wet, get out on the floor. But as for the game itself, always exciting to watch Wembanyama up close. That guy's an incredible talent. He's a freak of nature. Team around him sucks. But, they're going to retool that team over the years and build around him with the right pieces. But, I mean, it's good that they, like, as they were saying, we take care of business. Like, these teams in the past that we might just not show up for, just thinking, okay, we're the Celtics, they're the Spurs that have less than 10 wins. Like, just our talent alone will get us through, even if we go through the motions. The Celtics, are taking these games seriously. Like, the game started out a little close, but there was just never a doubt. And, one fact I wanted to take away from this is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, their three-point shots look back. Like, they just look – every time they shoot it now, it looks like it's going in. Tatum had that stretch for a while where he wasn't hitting anything, but I mean, if they're hitting 3-point shots, you can't guard them because I mean, Jaylen in the mid range at the rim, Tatum in the mid range in the rim, like this team's just so lethal and it's just really, really hard to stop. And like, you wouldn't have been able to fault them if they're looking ahead to the big marquee matchup with Denver tomorrow, but you have to take care of what's in front of you, and they did.
Yeah, and Porzingis is, I think, one of the biggest difference makers we have because for as big as he is, he's pulling their big man out and in unfamiliar territory out there in 3-point land. So when you're pulling the big man out, you're opening up lanes. You can go back door for White or Drew Holiday. So man, you're really looking overall. And one of the key things from the Spurs game that I loved, there was only 3 people in double digits. It was a team, effort. Everybody got a little piece of the pie. Al Horford got 9. Brissett came in and got 7. Hauser got 7. Cornette got 6. So it was an overall team effort, and people got some rest. So, Mikey, what were your final thoughts on the Spurs Celtics game overall?
I was just looking at the box score that you got up there, and one thing that I love is that there's no one on that list played real heavy minutes. you got Holiday and Cornette and Brown as the leaders at 30 and 31 minutes, which is great. Because we know Joe and we know some of our top guys, he has a tendency to leave them in most of the game, and I mean, we see it in the playoffs. He beats the shit out of them and wears them down. So it's nice to see some games where everyone's kind of getting some minutes. No one's playing heavy minutes. It's great. It's great for coming up for a matchup with Denver to have our guys rested and healthy. The Spurs game was pretty predictable. It was basically, it's pretty much a repeat of what happened in San Antonio. But I shouldn't even call it the Spurs team. It's the Victor Wembanyama and everyone else and the scrubs. But it is cool to see them play him every time they play him because he's this crazy freak of nature that he's like Gumby out there with a basketball that can pretty much dunk it standing up from wherever he is in the court. So he'll be a problem in years to come. But last night's game was really never in doubt. I know we let them back in. We had a 30-point lead. We let them back in at some points, but whenever you see Jordan Walsh and Davidson getting some minutes, it's one of those Geno games. So, as Alex was saying, it would have been nice to see Jordan get his first bucket. I've caught a few of his games in the G League, and he looks solid. I mean, he plays great defense. He's athletic. His shot is a work in progress. It's getting there. But it's nice to see blowout games like this where guys can get some of the young guys can get some real minutes and get a little experience under their belt. But this, this game was pretty much status quo. Everything played out the way, in best case scenario, the way that we thought it would. And now this brings us to the heavyweight match, the match that we thought we might have in the finals last year and possibly the finals this year, the Denver game.
Yeah. Well, before we go and jump into that, what did Alex you think of the Siaka trade?
So for Indiana, I like it. I mean, on the surface, getting Siakam, I think it elevates their ceiling higher. Now, I don't think it's going to put them in a tier with Boston, but you look at them against Milwaukee, who was already giving them problems. This just adds another element to it. He was probably their only guy on their team that actually plays some defense, which has been Indiana's big weakness, is that they don't defend. They can score with anybody, but I think he elevates their ceiling a lot higher. They might be able to win a first-round matchup, depending, I think, if they get the 4 or 5 seed, if they can get into one of those positions. I don't think they're beating Boston. As much as, they've given my Milwaukee trouble, I don't see them beating them either. They did give up a lot, 3 first-round picks for an impending free agent with no guarantee he'll stay. But, you figure your team's been really good and you want more buy-in from the players. I mean, going to get a former All-Star to add to Halliburton, Miles Turner, it's a big move. So I like it for Indiana. From Toronto's perspective, I mean, they've already started the rebuild. They got a couple of nice pieces in RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly. And now, I mean, Bruce Brown, I think they're going to end up flipping for more assets. And now they have 3 future picks as well for their rebuild. So I like it for both sides, so I don't really think there's a winner. I think both sides made out well for themselves.
Mikey?
I mean, Indiana's, it shows they're going for it. They might not have the firepower to really truly compete for the championship, in my opinion. But that team has done. You got to give them credit for the effort. They've been doing. Just to get Halliburton, which they traded one of their biggest stars for the previous year, and this past trade, it makes them very interesting. And it's for the short term, it's great for them, but it's a huge risk, considering what Siakam decides to do in the offseason. If they can get him to sign, and they can be a good team. It's probably a great trade because those draft picks will end up being low first rounders. However, if he gets blown out of the water in free agency and decides he wants to, go to LA or something, that could be a terrible trade for them long term. But short term, it definitely gives them a jolt. Like Alex was saying, it's a team that plays absolutely zero defense. It'll be interesting if one guy can change that culture. In my opinion, I don't think so. But as we've seen with the Celtics, who've made a lot of trades, it's sometimes you got to take some chances to really benefit, in the grand scheme of things. So, I like their aggressiveness. It'll make the Celtics pace. Actually, we might be done playing them, but it might make future matchups quite interesting. And Toronto, it's crazy how this team has just turned into a fire sale with all the guys that they've just been flipping, letting go. what a difference a few years makes where they're removed from the title. They had all these talented guys. I mean, the list is it feels like I'm talking about the Red Sox, like a championship team a few years ago. And now all those guys are gone. They have just kind of gutted that team. Poor Bruce Brown, too. The Boston guy, Bruce Brown. Poor Bruce Brown has gone from the Nets to Denver to Indiana. Now he's needs a passport to go up there to Toronto. And probably is going to be stamping another leg on his passport because he may be traded. But yeah, it's always interesting seeing the trades, and we'll see what happens.
Well, let's sit there and get right down to it. We got a 3-game. Our next 3 games are, of course, against Denver, and then we have a back-to-back with Houston and Dallas. So let's talk about this the matchup with Denver first. In our last 6 games going back to 2021, we have won 5 out of 6 against Denver. Our first loss was last year against this new look Denver team. So Alex, what do you think the matchup's going to be like this year compared to last year?
So just to touch on one point real quick, we actually do play Indiana next week. Not next week. We play them the week after at the end of January. So we will get to see Siakam and the Pacers. But with Denver, I mean, historically, we've always played really well against them. The one loss was on New Year's Day last year in Denver. That was where Rob Williams broke the rim, and it was like a 40-minute delay.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Everything. So, I mean, I just watched them play the other night against Philly, and I mean, they're still a great team, but I think losing a Bruce Brown definitely hurts them from what they had last year. And to me, they don't feel like as much as the same team. Obviously, once the playoffs come around, they're as formidable as anybody else. But I mean, I'd love to see the matchups with them because that should have been the finals last year. And if I had to bet right now, I'd say that's looking like what could be the finals this year. So I mean, I can't wait to watch this battle tomorrow night. I believe it's on ESPN. So unfortunately, you might have to listen to Doris Burke or on mute. But I'm really looking forward to it, with that 20-0 home record, possible finals preview. So I think all the players will be up for this. I think we might get a real big Tatum game. The injury report is clean, so we're going to get everybody at full strength, which is important. So there's going to be no excuses. Obviously, in the grand scheme of things, it's one game. But, I mean, it's definitely a little bit more added to it.
Yeah, I definitely like how, we have that day of rest in between so we can have the full roster playing. Porzingis, Horford, Brown, Tatum, everybody will get to play. And I'm kind of going to be intrigued a little bit seeing Jokic and Porzingis, facing off because they got similar game styles a little bit, except for the fact that, in my opinion, and I'm a little biased, Porzingis has a lot more talent around him where he doesn't have to, score as much. He can dish it off and he can just, be the decoy a little bit. So, Mikey, what are your thoughts about the Denver matchup coming up and how they made up?
Alex kind of hit it on the head. Denver, yes, they are still a great team, but there seems to be something off, just a little bit off with them this year, just something missing. I watched that Philly game that they played a couple days ago, and Philly kind of took it to them down the stretch, and I don't know what it is. It's they don't they don't scare me like they did last year. That being said, they're still the champs, and they still have one of the best players in the NBA, and Jokic. We really don't have anyone that can stop him. The guy that we had last year that played great defense, Rob Williams on him, is one of the few guys that really I've ever seen kind of affect his shots, because this guy can get pretty much whatever shot he wants. And it'll be a tough task for Porzingis. While Porzingis does play good D, the one weakness I've seen in his defense is when he goes up against bigger, stronger centers, a lot like Embiid, who will just muscle him up and back him down, and get easy shots down low. So they'll have to help out on the Joker. But I think this will be a competitive game. It's been weird. I know last year in Boston, we really handled them pretty well. And then when we went to Denver, they handled us pretty well. So I do like the season this game, just because it's here. And it's like Alex was saying, it is just one regular season game. But these guys, the players all get up for these primetime games, these nationally nationally broadcasted games. It means a little more to them when the bright lights are on. So we know we're gonna get Denver's best. We know we're gonna get our best. And it's always the players too. They're competitive. They want the bragging rights in the regular season. So I think while it is just one game, and it won't be the end of the world if we lose it. The players are gonna they're gonna bring it, and it'll be it'll be great to see how we're matching up with this version of our team against them this year.
One thing, Mikey, I would love to sit there and touch on, and then we're gonna shoot up to Alex to see what his thoughts are. Is I love how with Porzingis, you said that he has a problem with bigger, stronger guys. But man, isn't that why we have Al Horford? Like he sit there and he bodies Embiid, and in my opinion, he kind of coddles them and says it's time to go to bed. Here's your bottle. Here's your bakey. And I think that he could be the guy that they throw in and kind of wear down the Joker, and then Porzingis can take over. Alex, what are your thoughts on that?
So in last year's lineup, I think absolutely Al Horford would be starting against especially like this Denver team with Joker. So the thing is, I think throughout the game, obviously you'll get both of them matched up on him. It'll be interesting to see in crunch time who they go with. Obviously, you'd prefer to have Porzingis out there just because of the big offensive threat he is, and as well as a shot blocking threat. But the strength and muscle, like the way he can back down Embiid, Giannis, and just wears these guys out, where especially Embiid, where he just becomes so much less effective at the end of the game just because he's been working so hard all game to be able to score and then flailing himself to the ground like a fish all game to try to bait calls. Now, Jokic doesn't really do that, and Jokic has a more well-rounded game. Like, he's just as good of a passer as he is as a scorer, so he's a true, like, triple threat type of player. But it'll be interesting to see the matchups that they do. But yeah, I think Porzingis obviously will start out on him. Porzingis, his matchup mainly usually is not on those bigger guys. Like if you saw the first game against Philly, like they had Drew Holiday guarding Embiid a lot when Al wasn't out there. So I wonder if they'll use that. Unfortunately, we don't have a Grant Williams type, which is kind of the only thing his team is really missing. Not Grant Williams specifically, but his level of defense on Giannis, on Embiid, on a Joker when you don't have Horford out there. That's one thing that we really do kind of miss a little bit.
There was, and I know Jason brought it up before. What are your thoughts on the possibility to bring a Drummond in to kind of help out on the defensive side, Alex?
I mean, Andre Drummond, it depends on what we're giving up from. If it's next to nothing, sure, why not? But, I mean, if you look at Keita, look at Cornette, like, how much of an upgrade is he over them at this point in his career where you're giving away real assets to get him? Like, he's an all-time great rebounder. His defense is a little bit overrated, but, I mean, he's a big – I don't know. You're really playing him in these, crucial minutes against him, beat Giannis or Joker anyways. So, like I said, if he's part of the deal, I wouldn't mind him depending on what's going out. If he's just sliding into the Grant TPE or we're giving up, Svi or Delano Banton for him, sure, why not? Bring him in. But – I don't think he really moves the needle for us.
Okay. Now, after we end up playing the Nuggets on Friday, we get another day off, which I enjoy. and then we play a back-to-back on the road against Houston and then Dallas. So, Mikey, how do you see the matchups with Houston and Dallas? And what do you think on the next 3 games, how we're going to pan out record-wise?
Well, as I said, I like us against Denver in Boston just because we play so much better against them here than when we play there, and just because of the bright lights of the game. Houston, I don't see them as an issue either. I know Ime is supposedly, working defensive wonders with that team, but I mean, our team's a problem. It's we're so, if we have a full lineup in against those guys, there's almost no way to defend us. So I really like us in that game. The Dallas game is a huge question mark, and that's just because you got that duo of Kyrie and Luka, which, I mean, it's so hard to tell, especially with Kyrie. It's so hard to tell what you're going to get. But I would tend to think Kyrie's going to be, super motivated just because, of the history with the C's. I'm still not over him stomping on Lucky, by the way. But and Luka, that dude is like, he can be fully guarded and still just catch on fire and start draining threes, with his eyes closed. So that game I give as it's a toss up. I think we could either steamroll them, or they could, they could put it on us too, depending on just who's hot that day. But I still do like the C's to win that game. So I think I like them to go 3-0 the next 3 games. Alex did point out a great point. I had forgotten about one guy from our team last year, Grant Williams, who's on Dallas now. It'll be cool to see him. One thing that Grant Williams was really good at, and not everyone realizes, is how freaking strong he is. He is the one guy I saw. I remember being at the opener last year, and Embiid usually can just back down whoever he wants. When he tried to back down Grant, yeah, he's thick down there. He did not budge. He was a great defender on Embiid. But yeah, back to the little road trip coming up. I'm not fully confident about it, but I think we're gonna take all 3. And I think worst case scenario, we go 2-1.
Alex, what are your thoughts overall on the back-to-back?
So on the back-to-back, Houston, as young as the team as they are, they're much better at home. Their home record is actually really good. Their road record is horrible. But I think especially, we just saw them the other night, there's a huge talent discrepancy, obviously. But I think it'll be a closer game this time around. I'd like to still think we'll come out of there with a W. But I don't think we can just walk into that thinking it's going to be a layup. Now with Dallas on a back-to-back especially, so we'll see which end of the back-to-back Al plays, although there isn't really like a dominant big man on Dallas. But yeah, I mean, just to see our backcourt of Drew and D White go up against Kyrie and Luka, defensively versus their offensive weapons will be fun. As far as Kyrie's concerned, this is a family show, so I'll try to leave my editorial opinion of him out of this. He's not my favorite. I'll put it like that. My least favorite by far. He surpassed LeBron in that regard. But I'd love to go 3-0. I think we're very capable of being able to go 3-0. But I'd say at least 2-1. I want to take the Denver game. If the Denver game is one of them, then like 2-1 I'll be okay with, especially since we have Miami coming up later that week. But yeah, so I think take care of business first. Like win the game tomorrow, win the game in Houston, and then, just go all out. I don't think it's going to be like it was against Milwaukee, against Dallas. Like you only have to travel. It's like 45 minutes or an hour by plane, same time zone. I don't think Dallas is playing the night before, but I see that going way different So, I mean, it'd be nice to just make a statement, just go 3-0.
Yeah, I'm looking overall. I'm going to sit there and say that we can sit there and go 3-0. The back-to-back might be a little bit tougher for us, in my opinion, than the actual Denver game itself at home, because we got rest on both sides of it overall. So, guys, have any final thoughts on this Celtics team? We'll start with you, Alex. And where do you think we're going?
I think this team, the vibes are immaculate. This team, the eye test, besides the statistical, outcome of everything so far, they look like they're ready to win the championship, which is why I think Brad, he's going to push chips to the center of the table, the deadline. Like, people have to be realistic about what that means. They're not getting another star to add to this team, and nobody from our top 6 is getting moved. But, I can see, getting a score off the bench, and we'll cover this once we get closer to the trade deadline. But this team looks primed to win the championship. Tatum and Brown look more mature as players. They look like they've evolved. Drew Holiday looks like he's really starting to find his footing here in Boston, getting a lot more comfortable. He's shooting the ball a lot better. He's becoming more assertive. D. White's been a revelation this year. Porzingis just takes our ceiling to a whole new level. So if we can stay healthy, which is the main concern, which is like why they're able to give, Porzingis and D. White an off last night, and then we don't even miss a beat just because we're so strong. We're deep, a lot deeper than people give us credit for. So just keep on pushing, keep winning games. And if you look at the schedule, we had the toughest strength of schedule, and it just doesn't let up at all. It just continues to get tough. We have Denver tomorrow. Then we have another back-to-back on the road. Then we have Miami. We have the Pacers again this month. We have the Lakers to start February. I mean, I don't know if that'll be tough or not, but it's still LeBron and Anthony Davis. Then it levels off a bit. So if we can hold this lead, which is a 4-game first-place lead till then, I think we could win the East by 8 to 9 games. And then at the end of the season, you can really start resting the players up to be fully healthy for the playoffs. So I feel encouraged. I'm excited. I obviously want to skip to the playoffs already as is, but, I have to go through the process, trust the process, as Embiid would say. But yeah, I'm really excited.
Mikey, what about you?
Yeah, can we just press the fast forward button and just get to the playoffs? Because this team is, they're locked, loaded. They're ready. They're ready this year. And I mean, it's the thing that I've just been saying all season is health. Just stay healthy. Let's get through these games. Like Alex was saying, the dream scenario for the regular season would be build, just keep stacking these wins, build a comfortable lead to the point where you can, give players, do maintenance days, give guys days off, get some of the bench guys some minutes, and then you really roll into the postseason just strong, healthy, rested. I mean, this feels this year, and I say that, I might say this, a lot of years, but this year truly does feel different from the last 2 to 3 years, where we've been confident, but also kind of had that like little kind of Achilles heel that we've kind of worried about and would kind of show up throughout the season. And this year feels, and I think Porzingis is probably the biggest difference maker in this whole equation. Whereas Brown and Tatum it was the team, that was how they went, the team goes. And now with Porzingis in the lineup, it adds just a whole other level of a problem that other teams have to deal with. And it opens everything up for Brown, Tatum. And one other thing that can't be, I think, undervalued is just the character and the mentality of Porzingis, who's played in very high pressure, tough markets like New York. And I mean, he's a lot of the European players too are a little more hardened. They're a little tougher almost. And come playoffs, we will need guys like that, that will just be able to perform when everything is on the line, he gives me a lot of confidence that that's, you know, it's going to change the fortunes of our team. So, you know, I'm itching. I'm ready for the playoffs already. But you know, I as far as it goes in the present, just keep on trucking as they are. Keep on stacking those wins, and let's just stay healthy and be locked and loaded for, you know, for the postseason.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway so far is, you know, we lost Williams, and you know he was a hard person to replace. But if you look at our defense, everybody's stepping up. If Porzingis ain't getting block shots, White's getting block shots. Jaylen Brown's getting block shots. I love Jaylen Brown's block he had the other night. That was just crazy. And also it hit 7,000 views on our YouTube page, you know. So, you know, make sure you head on over to @BSEN 617 and check out our shorts. We're always posting videos up there of highlights, plays of the game, stuff like that. But, you know, the defense and the chemistry this team has is something really special this year. And, you know, I know Alex, we're going to see Miami next week. I don't think that they're going to even playoff Miami is going to be able to touch this team that put together this year. And I think that, you know, I wasn't sure. Was it you that posted it? As of right now in the playoffs, we could sit there and, you know, nine games could get us out of the first two rounds.
Yeah, because right now I believe we'd play Orlando in the first round. I mean, obviously you'd have the whole play-in tournament, but if it ended up being Orlando, I know, you know, they've had our number in the past. We did win the last two against them, but playoffs are a whole different animal. That's a young team that hasn't been there. The Celtics team, I think we'd do away with them in 4. I don't even think it would be – I mean, the games might get close, but I don't think we'd lose a game against them. And then the second round, I think we'd be looking at Cleveland or Indiana. And while those teams are more talented and have a little bit of playoff experience, I mean, not Indiana, Cleveland does, I think that's a 5-game series as well. That's the ideal playoff scenario, because then you have Milwaukee facing, I think Philly facing Miami, and then Milwaukee would have to play the winner of that the next round. So those teams can just go at each other, while the 1 seed just would have such a cakewalk to Eastern Conference Finals, and then you get a beat up version of whatever one of those 3 teams makes it out of there. So in my ideal scenario, like, that's the playoff seeding. So we'll see how it all plays out. But if you get the 1 seed, you know, Philly is going to be 3 most likely. Milwaukee's almost definitely going to be 2. So you avoid one of them until the conference finals. And as much as Philly, you have no confidence in them to ever get out of the second round. It's been since the year 2001 since that's happened. You know, maybe they knock out Milwaukee for you, and then you get the Sixers in the conference finals. And for them, that might be enough. That might be Embiid's next championship next to his MVP. So it just might be enough for him to get there at that point. But yeah, I mean, I like where things are standing right now. Just keep stacking those W's, stay healthy, go from there.
Yeah. So guys, make sure you head on over to our brand, Boston Sports Entertainment Network. Check out all of our podcasts, from the Bruins to the Celtics, which is us, to the Patriots, and then also for the Red Sox. Make sure you follow us all on Twitter. We are Dynasty Proud 18. You know, we're always running polls, we're running contests, and, you know, just interact and have fun. But for Alex, for Mikey Two Guns, which is the host of Our Bleepin' City, make sure you check out his podcast. It is now officially on YouTube only. Episode 1 dropped last night. That was a great episode. And as for myself, check you out next time on Dynasty Proud.